Shana like banana. That helped me so much. Thank you for that. Shout out to the Yakama people. She introduced herself briefly earlier. Many of us in Native education knew that this had to happen, that they had to teach about Native children, Native culture in the schools, not just the Native children, but all children. We knew this was necessary for any ability for there to be a coexistence of our people, that we needed to be able to say our stories being shared in the schools. And I remember years and years ago working for Highline Schools, we called together all the teachers that were teaching about Native culture in the schools. This was back in the 70s. And we found such a wide range of stereotypes, of inaccuracies, of issues that were really racist, but the teachers were well-intentioned. They wanted to teach about Native people, Native culture, but they were limited to that, limited by their own lack of knowledge about Native people. And so it's important that we have Native people develop this curriculum that allows our culture to be shared. And when I heard that Shana got this, and knowing her work as a teacher, I said they got the right person. This is going to be a person who puts their heart and soul into this, not just her technical expertise and knowledge, but her heart and soul into it to make it work. So I put my hands up to her for the amount of work that went into this project, because all our children are going to benefit from it, not just the Native children, but non-Native children as well. And from that knowledge will grow more understanding, more cross-cultural opportunities for us all. So again, Shana, I'll turn it to you. Thank you very much.
I think I might have a better teacher voice than that. So I think I'm going to try with that. But if you can't hear me, just let me know. Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here. It's been a very, very long haul. Roger was talking about how, back in the 70s, everything was so inaccurate. And the truth is, not a lot has changed. What I have up here is a page from Seattle Public School textbook, 8th grade U.S. history textbook, and this is one that will be used. And it just disappeared. Let's see if we can get it back. There we go. Just a page that introduces students and tries to get them engaged into the unit of study. And down they're asking hypothetical questions. And down here they're wondering why they passed the Homestead Act and why did they do that? And the hypothetical answer was, perhaps Congress feared what would happen to Western lands if they remained unsettled. And it just harkens back to my education in the 80s. I was born and raised on the Yakama resin, and I was a public school kid, because back in those days, it was only the kids who couldn't make it in the regular schools who went to tribal school. And so I was there, I was in the 11th grade, and my U.S. history teacher, who was loved, he was beloved throughout the entire community by everyone, by my brother. And one day he took the metal garbage cans that you have in the classroom, and he turned it over, and he started banging on it like a drum. And he started chanting, "Go, my son, get an education. Go, my son, get off the reservation." And so I did, because teachers tell you what to do, and teachers are the authority. We were talking about that authority. And so I did it. And I struggled for years and years and years, and it wasn't until I came to the University of Washington that I saw a proud Indian population and an active, loud Indian presence at the university. And that was pretty much the first time that I thought, you know what, being Indian might be a good thing. And that was just the beginning of my journey. When I became a teacher, any new school where I taught, they'd find out that I was Native, and then I was the go-to girl. I was the Indian expert. And so, they're coming to me with everything from dream catchers to Hogans and all kinds of things. Like, I'm not the Indian expert. At first, I was pretty indignant about it. And I started thinking, well, I can be angry. but if I don't do it, who's going to? And so that's really where I started being a teacher. And so I just started little by little in my classroom. And I taught in the Shoreline District for years, and they were receptive a little bit. And it was about that point that I decided I was going to do something, and I didn't know what. So I drove myself down to Olympia and met with Denny Hurtado, who was the program leader for the Office of Native Ed, and I said, I'm here. Tell me what to do. And just a little piece of advice, when you say I'm here, tell me what to do, they do. And I was on every committee that Denny did not want to be a part of. But what that led me to is a deeper understanding of the social studies in Washington State. And so I was there for a purpose. I was brought there. And so that's where I think this journey began. In 2005, House Bill 1495 was passed, and it was sponsored by John McCoy, who's a senator in Tulalip. And he and Denny were trying to put this bill together to require Indian education, Indian history be taught in Washington State schools, in the common schools, and it wasn't going to pass unless they changed the required to strongly encouraged. So that was the baby step. That was the step 10 years ago that allowed us today to have it now required. And again, I just have so much thanks for John McCoy and Denny, because they were the leaders in this. They were really able to convince our legislature how much this is needed. And I don't know if they saw anything like this or not, but I feel that there is something that happened now that brings us together now, that brings all of our tribes together now in their generosity, and that we have, for this curriculum, all 29 federally recognized tribes signed an agreement or signed an endorsement for this curriculum. And I don't know about where you come from, but to get 29 tribes to agree on anything, and the reason why they did it is because of the approach we took. As a teacher, I have been in all kinds of conferences. I'm sure you guys have been to dozens of conferences where you have a really good curriculum. Man, that's awesome! I can't wait! And you get the binder, and then you bring it home, and you're so excited about it. But then Monday comes, and you know that this is going to take a lot of work and reconfiguring and reconnoitering, and you just default back to what you always taught. And it's not a bad thing, it's just a thing, it's a reality of teaching. And so the curriculum then does something. It doesn't focus necessarily on, one unit of study. It doesn't focus on 26 units of study, which is how big the curriculum is. It's enormous. I'll show you in a little bit. But it focuses on building relationships. And the relationships are what build any good teaching relationship, or teaching program, build any curriculum. So the curriculum is meant to be changed. It has to be changed in terms of edited for each neighboring tribe. So the whole idea is to not teach about Indians, it's to teach with Indians. And we have some wonderful, wonderful tribes working so well with school districts to make this happen. And so, to be able to have this curriculum, and for the curriculum first to say, this is not the expert curriculum. This is not the be-all, end-all, because there isn't one. One doesn't exist. If you're looking for that and someone tells you it exists, they're lying. But what this is the beginning of a relationship that you will build. And so when the tribes and the districts take a look, their curriculum specialists or their title directors take a look at the curriculum like, you know what, that's not how it happened here. And it is editable. It needs to be. So when you take a look at the curriculum, and I hope that you do, you'll notice that all of the curriculum is written on Word documents and can be changed. They need to be. They need to reflect the local history. And so that is one of the strengths of the curriculum. The next thing is that it's not one binder. We found that we were at our first meeting, and we were in Suquamish, and we had to decide what we were going to teach. And so it was a council meeting full of tribal elders, lawyers, teachers, librarians. We're trying to figure out what it was going to be, what it was going to encompass, what was the most important. And our list was a page and a half, single-spaced, Word document. And the reality is that a teacher has 180 hours if she's lucky to teach social studies, and that's just the reality. And so we had to figure out how we were going to get this curriculum usable. And so what we ended up doing then is to be able to make it really big so that a teacher could step in anytime throughout the school. So we wrote units of study that went along with every unit of study that was recommended by OSPI, the Office of the Superintendent of Public Instruction. So that meant 26 units for U.S. history, Washington State history, and in high school, contemporary world issues, or CWP. And the curriculum meets the teachers where they are. Our philosophy, when we're going out and training, is, it doesn't matter where you start. If you even do 10 minutes this year, that's 100% more than you did last year. And that is where we begin. And I think that's why we have had really, really good success in our training in getting those teachers. The teachers are nervous. They're worried about getting it wrong. They're worried about, oh my God, what am I going to have to take out of my curriculum? And I've got to get ready for testing. And the curriculum gives them permission to pick and choose what and how much they want to include. And so that's one of the beauties of the curriculum. I think that's one of the things that we are really proud of, is to be able to give teachers that autonomy and give them permission to, you know what, if this is where you are, this is where you are. This is your journey, and this is where it begins, and we're here to help. Now, I had talked about the Senate Bill 5433, which changed that strongly encouraged, changed it to shall. And so we now, every time a school district adopts a new social studies curriculum, that is when they are required to start using since time immemorial. And so that in Seattle, that meant this year for middle school. And Seattle, I think, has really done a turn. I think they've turned a corner in terms of what they're doing with STI. So they are requiring a day-long training with STI for every middle school teacher, middle school social studies teacher. And so right now we're in the midst of training 160 teachers in the district. We'll have a training on Saturday at John Stanford. You're welcome to audit and come and take a look. But we're teaching teachers how to deal with something like this. We're teaching them that these are not the only Indians out there. This is from this writing textbook. We're teaching them that the frontier was not an undeveloped area. Mother of God. And it's so powerful. Every Monday in my classroom we hold talking circles. And I introduced my talking feather. My good friend Gail Morris gifted me an eagle feather for our talking circle. So I'm introducing and talking about the eagle feather and its power. And my two Native girls who are in that class, they had never talked so much and so proudly as they did that day. And that says something about the power of this curriculum. And not just for our Native kids. I did a pilot lesson for a teacher in a 5th grade classroom. And we were talking about homeland, because all of the curriculum, middle school, elementary, and high school, starts with the idea of homeland. Because if they don't understand homeland, they're not going to get it. If they don't understand that relationship, they're not going to get it. So that's where it starts. And we were talking about homeland, and we were sharing pictures of our sacred spaces. And one of the girls was from Peru, and she held up her map of Peru. And she talked about that as her home. And later the teacher came and she said that's the first time that she's spoken in front of class. So I think we've got something good going here, not just for our Native kids, and not just for the sake of our history and the reality and debunking all of those stereotypes and idiotic things that people tend to say, mostly out of ignorance. It is, it's just a good place to be for all of our students. And I'm so lucky to be able to continue this journey. All of us as teachers, we have our educational dreams, right? Well, if I was king of the hill, this is what I would do. And then all of a sudden it's here. I was talking to Denny, and we were, unveiling, and I'm looking at him, and I said, Denny, he did it. He said, yeah. Excuse me, it's bullshit. And that's because we can feel the gravity, the change, and the wonderful work that we get to share with everyone. And it's all free. It's all free. It used to be that we'd have to buy stuff and do stuff and get people to, pay at least for this bit and that. And now it's completely free. Tons of videos. It's just a wonderful, wonderful curriculum. I was going to show the website, but all I'm going to do now is just show you the front page. It's indianed.org. No. I'm showing you a beautiful UW building. So imagine a beautiful indianed.org, indian-ed.org. And one of the most precious gifts of the curriculum, almost there, is a design that was gifted to us by our good friend Roger Fernandez. And it is the, just leave it right there. And it is our new logo. Well, it's not new this much, but we have our lower Elwha design on the left, and then plateau basket design on the right, to show that this is for everyone. This is for every child in Washington State. And for that, I'm just eternally grateful. I love what I do, and thank you so much for allowing me to be here to share a little bit of of this amazing journey. So, thank you very much.